Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Moral Edge. This is Nissim Black, and I happen to be here with a very, very special individual and a friend and a brother. Judah Honigman has been using his platform to be what we will call a Giboy Yisrael, a person is a hero for the Jewish people, been championing our cause, speaking out the truth in the midst of so many lies. I'm here to discuss with him not only the truth that he is using his social media for, but also to talk to him about the beautiful miracles, as this has been a common and reoccurring theme here in Israel, because this is the land of miracles. Judah, what's up?
Doing well. How are you, brother?
I'm doing amazing, amazing, amazing. So we have been seeing the Yad Hashem. We have been seeing the hand of God here in the land of Israel, just like expected, just like which was promised to God, to us from God through the prophets. And we've been seeing this happening nonstop. I want you to tell me a little bit what you've been observing. We're just talking about lenses, right? One person sees it this way, one person sees it another way. Somehow, some way, in the very, very distorted and very foggy and blurry lens of the Iranian regime, they think they just achieved a victory. I don't know.
They're saying they did. They're saying they
I don't
did.
think the rest of the world feels that way, but it's a perspective. It's a perspective. But from your perspective, what have you been seeing here in the land of Israel?
You know, I think that anyone who has their eyes open, it's very easy to see the Yad Hashem, the hand of God, and everything that's happening. The Iron Dome, in and of itself, is a massive miracle.
Right.
The fact that we have a piece of technology that is able to shoot down a missile that is aimed at a civilian area with the singular goal of killing civilians, and 99% of the time, it effectively removes that missile from the air. That's massive. It's literally shooting God's hand into the sky,
Right.
grabbing a missile and throwing it down.
And I think we've been so watered down that the other side all the time will look at this and say, well, that's just a natural progression of humans and humans becoming more technologically advanced over time. So really, that's not really a miracle. But I think it actually is, because I don't think technically it should be able to work as well as it is. We definitely wouldn't think that it would be able to work in accordance in all the different ways. There's more than just the Iron Dome and all the different ones. But still, people have a way of explaining all the time open miracles right in front of their eyes.
I think that's because we know that God prefers to do miracles within Teva.
Within nature.
Like within nature.
Right.
He's not looking to drop his hand literally out of the sky.
Because it would take away a person's free will.
Exactly. Exactly. It would take away a person's free will. Now that we have an excuse to say, oh, of course, technological advancements, Rafael Industries, it makes sense. We have planes, we have guns, we have missiles. Why wouldn't we have missiles that can shoot missiles out of the sky?
You're right.
And it's just a matter of perspective of how you want to look at it.
So that makes me think of the verse that says that if you seek for me, you shall find me.
Correct.
But that most people don't think about that I actually have to work out to look for God. So most people say, well, hey, devil's advocate over here. Well, yeah, if you're looking for something, then you'll find it over there. But if you're not looking for it, then you won't find it over there. But I think that more so you'd have to search outside. I'll tell you why. Because you're just as familiar as I am familiar with Likutei Moharan, with the writings
I don't know
of
if
the
I'm as familiar as you are.
the Hasidic master, Rabbi Nachman. So there is a piece from the 7th chapter, which is we will call the 7th Torah of Likutei Moharan, where Rabbi Nassan, who was actually writing in a commentary on this, is saying that when it comes to these ideas of miracles and different things like that, he says that truly there's a natural, I guess I would say, spiritual DNA of the human is to actually believe in God, to believe in miracles, to believe in Torah. That's natural to the human. And then only after, the growing up in a world and society that ultimately has found itself to reject God, does it become to poison the human. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that. I have a friend who I'm very, very close to, and he grew up being, black, African-American. He was adopted by a white family, a white Ashkenazi family, grew up Jewish his whole entire life. And he said that it wasn't, I don't think, until he was nearly 11 years old or something like that he started to realize that maybe his parents weren't his parents. And he said, you know how he found out? He says his friends told him.
Right.
His friend said to him, maybe your parents aren't your real parents. He didn't realize. He does not look the same complexion. He didn't think about it one time until somebody else told him. So it made me think about this. It says that, listen, if you leave a person untouched, if you leave a person uncontaminated, so to speak, then they would never come to the conclusions that the rest of the world comes to bring us from the outside in.
A person, when they're born, they're pure, right? You
Right.
talk about the first time someone lies, the first time they steal, anything like
Right.
that. That was influenced.
Always.
They were
That's
taught
right.
that. They learned that somewhere, or they wouldn't have known to do it. And this is going back to Rabbi Nachman, Asher karcha baderech. We were cooled off along the way. And this freezing of Amalek, what they did to us, makes us look at this, and it's just this. But nothing around us, and we know, obviously, Ein od milvado. There is nothing in this world other than godliness. There's nothing. Once it boils down to the nucleus of everything, godliness, elokut.
That's amazing.
But they bring us to this place of Asher karcha baderech, Amalek. All these outside perspectives and outside influences bring us to this place of, okay, Rafael Industries, they created this missile thing. Cool. Iran's missiles, of course they're not reaching the sky, reaching Israel, and they're blowing up in the sky because isn't that what's supposed to happen?
Right.
No.
Right.
They're supposed to destroy a building and people for every single missile launched.
That's amazing.
The fact that Donald Trump jumped in and the B-2s and all of it, it's God's hand.
Right.
It's God's will, because if God didn't will it, it wouldn't have happened.
Would have never happened.
It couldn't have happened.
Oh my goodness. So in that, you talk about miracles. One of the biggest miracles right now was the praise that Trump just gave over to Bibi Netanyahu.
Huge.
I mean, that was it was a praise for many reasons. And I'm telling you, Trump has shocked me a lot over the last few days. Surprisingly, the F-bomb that he dropped the other day, that did not surprise me. What did surprise me was the thanking of God that he did publicly. And it was, he definitely went
Tearing
outside
up.
of character. It felt very much so that it was real sincere, outside of his character, but it wasn't forced. It was something that actually came and was very, very sincere. The second thing was this praise of Bibi, because, as much as he has given praise, a lot of times the praise is due. I mean, that was a lot of, it would be ink if it was on paper, but that was a lot of words that he wrote.
A lot of thumbs.
A lot of thumbs,
A lot of
right?
thumbs.
Maybe Netanyahu, I don't know. I probably should know, but I'm wondering like when and where he writes the stuff. But anyway, that's my own personal curiosity.
Hopefully in the back of the car.
Yes, Air Force One.
Air Force
One. Okay, so but I don't know. I don't know if you found that interesting at all or not.
I did find it interesting. And, the whole F-bomb that he dropped, and when he got upset at Israel, and all of a sudden people started jumping up and saying, how could he have done that? And then everyone else is saying, what do you mean, how could he have done that? You see what he just did for Israel? Of course he loves Israel. And I just sit back and I watch this and I laugh. And I say, the hearts of kings are in God's hands.
Right. Hearts and kings and queens are in the hands of God.
That's what we know.
Right.
And the F-bomb, God.
Right,
The
right.
B-2s, God.
Right.
Praising Bibi,
I doubt God.
God.
Curses. I don't think he curses.
Right, fine. I'll give you that much. But the fact he willed him or in some way allowed him to do that.
Right, you're right.
And it's God. Like, it's very easy to get lost in the nuances of everything. And I say this all the time, that if you zoomed into the Purim story or the Hanukkah story or Yetziat Mitzrayim, any of these stories, and looked at one singular moment, one singular Paro, Haman, F-bomb, Greek, whatever it is, you say, these guys are done.
Right.
They're done.
Right.
But when you're able to zoom out and look at the full story, you see God's hand weaved in throughout it.
Absolutely. Right.
And that's how we have to look at all of this. These singular moments do not define the story.
Right. But it's definitely
And God's
doing
not
its
done
thing.
writing yet.
That's absolutely right.
God's not
I
done
don't know
writing
if you
yet.
saw, but they like put out this like, I don't know if it was like a gift, like one of these what do you call it, memes or whatever. And there was a meme of very, very similar to what they have here in Israel. There's always these books of the prophets that the kids have usually in school. So they had one book called Sefer Netanyahu, the book of Netanyahu.
I did not see that, but it doesn't surprise me.
But it doesn't surprise me. And you see what he says in his speech, that this is going to be recorded in the wars of history of our people.
It will.
And it's an amazing thing to be living during this time. I tell you what I've done. I've been on bases since October 7th, I started going on bases, performing there, and there was a lot of coordinating with other, like bar mitzvahs or different parties to do them specifically on bases. And I wanted to speak with the soldiers and everything. It was a great opportunity for me, and I definitely enjoyed it. But one of the things I've been saying to them, I said, have you ever thought about this, that when the prophets speak about the days that will be, the days to come, the days when the great wars happens, right? When these days come, that those soldiers and those ones that are being the heroes of the Jewish people at that time, that you guys were in the book. Do you think about that? That you guys are the guys that Hashem was talking about at that time, that were going to stand up and that was going to fight. And as it says, that even the weakest in Israel will be like King David in his time.
They're the Hashmonaim of this story.
It's amazing thing when you think about it as a soldier right now today and fighting in these wars. It's mind-blowing.
I actually did a barbecue last night on a base.
Oh, wow. You didn't invite me.
300 soldiers. I was with Yair Netanyahu, Bibi's son.
Oh, okay.
We did a barbecue together, and he helped put the whole thing together.
Wow.
And Yair said, it's the least that he said my family, but the least that I could do for our soldiers is just do something and show them love, appreciation. Because if you're all a family, you're all a family, and if you're not, you're not. And we have to be.
It's amazing. Amazing. Okay, so my question to you is that you've, out of the blue, decided, I don't know how out of the blue it was, to use your platform to, talk about what was going on actually here in Israel. I don't know if you felt there was a deficiency. I don't know what caused you to do it, but what you think was a driving factor to make you do it. There's many people, the reason why I ask, there's many people that are opinionated. A lot of us talk, a lot of us also speak from the book of second opinions also, as they say. But a lot of people talk behind closed doors, and they're willing to shoot the hawk. And in fact, most people do that. Not a lot of people feel comfortable getting on a platform and throwing themselves out there. I was just recently on the Piers Morgan show, and people were like, I can't believe you got on there like you did on this. And like, we talk about all this stuff all the day in the shul and the barbershop, walking in the streets or whatever. So it makes no difference for me to get on Piers to say the exact same thing I've been saying to you over here in the shul. But a lot of people have a certain stage fright. So my question is for you, what made you want to do it?
In one word?
In one word.
Necessity.
Wow.
And for me, October 7th, Simchat Torah, I was sitting home. Everything was going down. All the rumors started. 10 soldiers killed, 50 people kidnapped. One yishuv kibbutz has been attacked. And obviously, as the days or hours went on, we really understood the full scope of what was happening. Yeah. And I was sitting home for the first 2 days, glued to my phone in a way I've never been in my entire life. Could not stop scrolling. My kids are freaking out. My wife has no idea what to do with herself. And all I can do was scroll. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this. Wow. And October 9th, I went to my yeshuv, my community, and I said, what could I do? So we need to raise money for the bitachon. Great. I helped them put together a crowdfunding campaign. English.
Just for the security? Okay.
English. Start reaching out to people in America. Rallied up the Anglos in the yeshuv. Had them send out emails to their families and friends. We raised $250,000 in like 2 days. Wow. Great. They had what they needed. But now we're 2 days later. So on October 9th or 12th, 10th or 11th right now. Right. And I'm like, okay, now what? Like I did that. Now what's next? And I started doing barbecues for soldiers. And it still wasn't filling me enough. I look around my community. All my friends weren't there. All my friends did army service. And they went back to Miluim. And here I was, literally, I would take my kids to the park. I was one of the only men in the park on Shabbos.
Wow.
And I
that
said,
could be intimidating. I've been there.
Definitely. And I'm like, I have to figure out what to do. And it hit me when I was scrolling on Instagram one day, and there was this trend in the beginning of the war where people in other countries around the world, specifically the United States of America, were posting, who will hide me? Referencing the Holocaust. If this comes to our shores, who will hide me? And I put out a video, and I lost it. I lost it in that video. I said, who will hide you? You have the state of Israel. Something the 6 million could never have dreamed of having. Who will hide you? We're here. Come home. We don't have to hide anymore. Right. October 7th might happen. Iran might happen. Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis might happen. But we have an army. And we have a state. And we take care of our own. Come home. And that video went viral.
Right.
And then the next day I did a follow-up, and it just became this thing where I just started talking and expressing and sharing my voice. And then people started asking me, the Palestinian propaganda is saying ABC, how do I combat it? And I started doing these videos where I broke down what they were saying about apartheid and all these other things. It's not true.
I mean, but
it's not real.
It's such easy material for me. I don't understand why nobody does it. Why not more people do it, I should say. It's because these things that they are saying are easily falsifiable claims that they have.
100%.
It's you have to be completely like insane, twisted, and backwards to believe almost anything that BBC puts out about Israel. Like these things are insane.
But it goes back to what we said before.
What?
That there's this narrative that's out there, and you can choose to believe in that narrative or in this narrative.
Right.
Right? You can choose whether you want to believe it or not. There's people who blindly believe in the negative sense, and there's people who say, let me do some research. If you're blindly believing, you're jumping onto the bandwagon, you just want to be part of what's happening.
Right.
Or maybe they really feel bad for the Palestinian people, and they didn't do their research. They're just buying into it because of lack of knowledge.
Because of things that they saw.
Okay, cool. You feel bad for a people that you feel is going under some sort of an ethnic cleansing or a genocide. So you feel bad. Great. But you live in the age of the internet.
Right.
1, 2, 5, 10 Google searches.
Right.
It's done.
The whole thing's over.
It's done.
That's crazy to me. And I look at it and I say that a lot of these things, and I've spoken about this a lot, is that they're motivated by other things. What people don't understand is that for sure in the West right now, I think people are just very, very confused. There's a chokehold to some degree on the mind of the Gen Zers. I mean, you see what's happening in the elections in New York. I mean, you talk about it's just like an insanity but other people are very, very malicious. They're very, very intentional in what they're doing. And that's largely coming from Muslim groups, CARE, other places like that are definitely infiltrating politically and every other facet to be able to to be able to create this narrative and to push it out. Other people, such as the Candace Owens or whatever, most people get confused about that. Candace is motivated. Anybody that takes her serious has completely lost their mind. It's the conversion of the religion to a ideology and a denomination of Christianity that is anti-Semitic. It wasn't that, which came first, the chicken or the egg or whatever. So by nature, Israel can do nothing ever to ever win grace in her eyes. So the immediate conspiracy will always be something anti-Israel. I'm just using her as an example of where you have people that are deliberately and intentionally anti-Semitic, and they push this thing out to the masses, and everybody sees it over and over and over again. So you have that where it's motivated. The problem is, and where the real battle is getting the people in the middle where they just are literally only following
They just don't
everything.
know.
They just have no idea.
They literally don't know.
They don't know, and you want to have compassion, but everybody looks the same, right? It's like the same issue over here. Like, what's a innocent Palestinian? What's an innocent? Everybody looks the same.
So
They're all doing the same thing.
That's where a lot of my content falls. A lot of my content falls either towards those people in the middle who aren't sure. And thank God I've gotten a ton of questions from people who say, I'm really confused. Can you help me clarify this? Those are the best messages.
I was going to ask you about that. I wanted to know what
those are the best messages that I get. They're not often, but when they come and I'm able to have a real dialogue with someone, I don't know if I'm changing their mind, but I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate the questions, and I hope that I impacted them and changed their mind. But a lot of the content that I create, it's for laymen, people who are going to look at my content, and then when they go to work or they're on the train or someone comes up to them with a question, I'm giving them data that they can hold in their hand, short 1-minute videos, 30-second, 90-second videos that they're able to engage with this content, understand this content, and regurgitate it in the conversations that they're having with other people.
That's amazing. So one of my questions is, and I'm sure you're probably experiencing this, but I think this is one of the biggest phenomenons right now that's going on concerning the current topic of anti-Semitism and everything else. In all my years of content creation, I don't think I've ever seen a time, and this is posting videos and interviews and anything like that, where within seconds, and from those seconds to however much watch time or how much the lifeline of whatever that piece of content has, that the overwhelming majority of the comments are either anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, like, and I've never seen anything where something has so much life, something that goes viral, and the majority of the comments. I did a piece of content a while back with Miriam Azagwai. Miriam is amazing. She has millions and millions of followers. Anything that we put online together goes crazy. But the last few times that we actually did content together, it was majority Free Palestine. You guys
Yep.
are this, and it's something that, and a lot of them are bots. Most people don't
course.
realize this. A lot of them are robots.
Click on a
And-
profile, 0 posts,
Zero
1 follower.
posts, one follower,
Correct.
and it's like they're commenting on everybody. It's an amazing world that we live in, and this is the reason why, quote unquote, we're losing the PR battle. This is really why the rest of the world is because for somehow, some way, the ground game has already been set to be against us. From the moment any piece of content comes out, you're immediately attacked. Even if nothing, you can start a brand new page. I just started a brand new page.
Don't you have a lyric about that? In Motherhood Bounce? No? Right?
I don't know.
The game's rigged. What is it?
That's a different song.
I forgot which one it was, but the game's rigged, right?
Different pitchers, but they still on the mound. You know what I mean?
it.
It doesn't matter who it is. They're still on the mound. Thank you. By the way, I need to make that a T-shirt. But have you ever seen a thing like this? And I think that this explains why there's already an uphill battle. We're already walking into places trying to already explain ourselves, which is a weak position. It's a weak
We're always
position.
coming from the bottom.
Always coming from the bottom, as opposed to where we just seen what happened in Iran with Israel's greatest strength is the preemptive attack, and it almost seems as in this world of content creation and the media, like there's no way to jump ahead. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you,
So, I mean,
you know,
obviously, I get a ton of that as well, and the death threats and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
In fact, I stopped using my platforms in any way to like share pictures of my kids or like things that I'm doing because I started getting really nasty messages about my wife,
Right.
my kids, and I'm like,
right.
that's it. Like,
ridiculous.
I'm focused on pro-Israel content, and that's all I can do right now. But I tell people when they ask this question, I say, there's this concept called influencers, people that have influence or followers. And obviously, Rabbi Nachman talks about this as well.
Right.
There's people that have influence over 1, over 10, over
10,
50, over
right.
hundreds. Every single person is an influencer. There's nobody that exists in this world that has 0 influence. There's
true.
people that have more influence and less influence, but every single person is an influencer.
Right.
Whether it's just a mom to her kids or someone to their best friend, everyone has influence, and we need to encourage everyone to use their voice in a positive way. Right? We talk about all the time how a little light dispels a lot of darkness.
That's true.
We just need more little lights.
That's true.
We need a lot more little lights.
So you're saying that the idea is to not be dismayed at the onslaught. We learned this actually. I'm just thinking about this right now. In Parsha Shoftim in the book of Exodus, when it actually gives us the rules of war before going out to war, around the 20th chapter, and it talks about before we go out to war, you are not allowed to be afraid. Person is not allowed to. If you see that there's horses and they're much bigger than you and they're greater than you, and you see this massive cavalry, still person's not allowed to be afraid. ... Why? Because I am Hashem and I go before you to save you.
It's funny.
Before you to save you.
Last week, the missiles were flying.
Yeah.
You get the pre-alert, and I would go out to my porch at 2:00 in the morning, and I would see them in the sky. Obviously,
right.
when I got a red alert, I would go into my
Yeah,
mama.
right.
But it was just the pre-alert. I would go outside, and
Yeah.
I would just, like obviously scared, but also like, look what Hashem is doing. They're coming, they're blowing, they're going.
you're watching them.
Unfortunately, obviously, destruction and people are killed. And someone said to my wife, "Is Judah really not scared of the missiles, or is he just pretending to be a macho man?" And I said, it's not that I'm scared or not scared. I just have faith. And if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. And if it's not, it's not. We're just along for the ride, right? We're actors in this world. We're not directors. We're not meant to be directors.
Right.
There's one director and billions and billions of actors. They're actors with more important roles or less important roles.
Right. It's
But
very
we're
true.
all just actors, and we're just playing our part.
Makes me think of, one time my rabbi said to me, he said that real courage is when a person has fear and they conquer it, they go out anyway. As opposed to the person who's not afraid to die. There's nothing commendable about the person going out.
I was talking to Joey Rosenfeld about this.
Oh,
and
love Joey.
I said to Joey, I said, how could Amuna and anxiety exist in the same person?
You can have faith and anxiety.
No, how could you
on the
how
same
can you
place.
have anxiety and have Amuna? If you have Amuna, why would you have anxiety for?
Absolutely.
And he said, first of all, you have anxiety because you're human. And there's no human in the world that never experienced anxiety about something. Finances, children,
Some regular
health, whatever.
Fight, flight or fight, fight or
But
flight.
he said to me, and this mom is struck for me. He said, without anxiety, where do you practice your Amuna? You need anxiety.
Right.
We need, I don't want to say missiles, but we need things to be scared of in order to trust Hashem more. Otherwise, it's very easy. Just sitting here, I'm sitting with Nissim and we have Amuna. Great. High five. We have Amuna. Easy.
Right. Wow. Okay, before we go, I want to discuss right now, because you're from New York. I'm not from New York. I'm from the left coast, from the upper northwest, where everybody forgets about until we win a couple Super Bowls or one. It was a bad interception the next year. Anyway, I haven't let it go. There's certain things I haven't let go. I haven't watched football in years, but I haven't let it go. Anyway, so just finished now the primaries for the mayor of New York, Mamdani, aka the Mahdi. I say it's Mahdi. You know the Mahdi. It's the Islamic Messiah. I say because I think the guy's 33. I think Jesus was 33.
I think he's
I put it all
33.
together. I see
think
the
he's
whole
30.
entire thing.
You got all the gematrias
It's
going.
the
You got-
writing on the wall right now that they are all waiting for this guy to come in like the Messiah. And it's probably the most disturbing and the scariest thing right now because New York has, outside of Israel, the largest Jewish population. So my question is for you, this a good thing or this a bad thing?
So
We're talking about perspective.
We're talking about perspective.
We're talking about perspective, so I want to know.
my dad, when Obama was running, he wanted to make a bumper sticker that said, vote Obama, bring Mashiach now. Because only when it gets worse, are people going to leave and start coming where they need to be in order to bring Mashiach. But I mean, it's insanity. It's insanity that, like you said, the place in the world with the largest Jewish population outside of Israel is about to be run by a radical Muslim.
It's amazing.
Someone who chants free, free Palestine.
Right.
Someone who writes rap songs about people that funnel money to Hamas. It's insane. How does this happen?
It's mind-blowing.
How does this happen?
I don't understand how it happens when I know it was a far cry. But I know there was at least there was discussions in terms of what had been in terms of I guess I would say I can't say these two things are synonymous, but during the election in November and leading up to it, everybody was like, "Oh, what's gonna be with New York? New York is looking, they're holding massive rallies inside of Madison Square Garden. People are coming out in drones of people who are about to looking like, we could get it. Can we get it purple? Can we do something with New York?" And then all of a sudden, this turnaround within just months, and this guy is looking like he's probably going to be the next mayor. I don't understand. And the reason why I say maybe it's not synonymous because we do have, unfortunately, now a lot of those in the mega camp or the MAGA camp who's gone radical left. We have this wonderful thing where we unite the radical left and the radical right together. But I just thought I was more hopeful that New York was moving more towards the right, and I can't make it out for the life.
So I have, I think, 2, maybe 3 short thoughts on this.
Okay.
One, no one in their wildest dreams would have thought that Yosef Atzadik would become the Sheni L'Melech.
That's true.
That's
I
first
never would
of
have
all.
thought that Joseph we have to say it in English. Nobody would have
thought that Joseph would have become the second in command to the king.
Right.
That's first of all.
Right.
Second of all, nobody would have thought that we could survive a situation where Haman became the king's main advisor.
That's right.
And the third, to end off with a quick line by Reb Jerry Garcia, once in a while you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right.
I think it is in the light. I think, my hope is that, I know this sounds horrible, and I know people are not gonna like to say this. I have a feeling that since it's already happening, I'm not hoping outside, that this guy gets elected, and there's going to be a lot of Jews coming home.
I'm afraid that they're going to go to Florida instead of coming home, but that's a separate issue.
That's the only problem.
That's a separate
You're
issue.
right. You're right. They may end up
The other homeland.
The other homeland. Thank you so much, Judah. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Guys, keep tuning in to The Moral Edge. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so any new content that comes out, you are going to be the first one to know.